So in this video today, I'm going to be showing you how to modify a set of stock 2JZ-GTE valve covers so that you can put some AN fittings on there so you can run some nice braided line over to a catch can. So the first thing I did was I removed these two fittings that are the factory fittings. This one had a rubber seal around it, so I had to pop that out, and then the rubber seal was really brittle. I just had to break it out. So then the other one is pretty simple. You just take some heat. I heated this up and it pulled out with a pair of vice grips. You can see my marks from the vice grips. Well, we don't need this anymore, so that can go in the trash. But the other thing that's different about these GTE valve covers from the GE and the other 2Js is the fact that the baffles on the inside are riveted in. So you can see there's rivets there rather than bolts. So it makes it a little more difficult to get these baffles out. And anytime you're going to be drilling or grinding, you don't want to have these baffles in place because those pieces of metal are going to get stuck in behind there. Or if you're going to get these sandblasted, like I'm going to do, get them sandblasted and get these powder coated so they look good, you don't want that sand sticking back behind there. So you're going to have to drill these out. So I'm going to go through that process next here on my trusty old Bridgeport. And you can do it with a drill, whatever you want to do, but the Bridgeport's just a lot easier for me. So we're going to go ahead and get these set up in the vise on the Bridgeport. Go ahead and start knocking these rivets out so that I can get these baffles out easier. So when you go to set up this drill bit, you're going to want to pick out a drill bit that is just oversized of the actual rivet. And I think this drill bit here is a 21/64. So if you're looking for their size, that's probably what you want to use. You could even go a little bigger, I'm sure. It wouldn't hurt anything. So I'm going to go ahead and continue drilling this out. And then we'll move on to the next one. Okay, so you can see that I now have all, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holes drilled out. So now it's as simple as just breaking that seal of the silicone that's in there. And this guy will pop right out. Now you can see what's underneath there, and just look at how that stuff has gotten trapped in there. This brown stuff here, you can see the rest of the valve cover. This went through a pressure washer system, so you can see that if there was stuff in there, that is not going to come out, even if you put it through like a hot tank system, really. So the best bet, if you're going to sandblast or do this, is to drill these out and get these baffles out for sure. Now that I got my first baffle out, I'm going to go ahead and start into this second one. I'll go ahead and drill these out and then I'll be back. So you can see here why I want to get these sandblasted because of the shape that they're in. You can't really powder coat over top of this rough paint. So the next step is going to be to clean up these areas where the old fittings were so that I can TIG weld the 10 AN aluminum bungs on here. So I'm going to go ahead and clean these up with a flapper disc, and then I'll come back and we'll start welding on the bungs. So you can see here now I have both my holes cleaned up and ground down so that it will get a nice finish when I weld that on there. I have 2 bungs here. 1, 2, and this one is I think a Summit brand aluminum fitting, 10 AN male, of course. But you can see here the holes are almost identical in size, so basically just put that guy on there, weld that on, and then this guy has a little lip. I don't know what brand. This might be like Fragola or some other brand. I usually get all my stuff from Summit Racing, but you can see it fits in there pretty nicely. So I'll go ahead and tack these on, and then we'll finish weld them, and then this thing will be ready to go off for sandblast. Okay, so you can see I have these tacked in place. So now I'm going to go ahead and finish weld these, and I'll set the camera up so you can watch me do that, and then we'll be ready to drill and tap the underside for the replacement of the baffles. So here you can see I finished welded this, and then I ground it down because I wanted like a almost factory looking. I didn't want to have like that weld bead going around there and then powder coat over that weld bead. I wanted to have it like almost like look smooth, like it was factory. So I gotta do some finish sanding on that before I send it off to powder coat, but that's how I ended up doing it. So now I'm gonna go ahead and set up my Bridgeport to drill these holes out for tapping. And I'm only going to do 4 bolts per valve cover. So I'm going to do these 2 end pieces here, and then I'm going to do these 2 end pieces here. Since we're going to be put silicone on here, and since we're going to be using bolts, there's like no chance that this is going to come out of there. So I'm pretty confident in just using 4 bolts, and I'll do that on both covers. But as you can see now, I'm gonna go ahead and drill this hole out, and then I'll run my my M6 tap down through there after I get this drilled out. And the drill size I'm using here is 13/64, and that's what is recommended for the M6 size tap. And you don't have to go too deep with these because you're only holding in a couple ounce baffle. So there's no real reason to go too crazy other than you just want to have enough room to get your tap down in there and be able to get enough threads on there for your tap to work. So I'd say that's enough. I probably got about a 1/2 inch down in there. So I'll go ahead and move to the next one, and then I'll come back with the tapping process. Okay, so I went ahead and drilled out these holes to tap, and I ended up going ahead and adding one into the middle. So I have 5 holes. I'm not gonna do all 6, I don't see the point, but I did add this one in the middle just because I looked at the distance and I was like, you know what, if oil was laying up in top of there, it could have some weight on it. So I decided to tap that middle one out, just do it right the first time and be done with it. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and use my tapping tool and go down through here and go ahead and tap these threads out for each one of these holes so that I can put a bolt in when it comes back from powder coat. All right, so you can see I now have threads in my holes. So like I said, I did 5 on this one, and I'll probably do the same thing on this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and drill this one out now and tap it, and then these will be ready to be sent off to powder coat after like I said, after I do a little bit of finish sanding here to make that look really nice and smooth. Okay, so here we have the finished, sanded, ready to go to powder coat valve covers. And as you can see, I tried to make that look, I don't know if you can tell from the video or not, but I tried to make it look like almost OEM, like those were on there from the factory. Smoothed them, tried to blend them in as much as possible so when the powder coat goes over, it kind of looks seamless. So you might ask why I smoothed out those valve covers like I did. Well, this is my ARC-7, and you can see the valve covers here and how the welds look. I mean, the welds aren't perfect, but I didn't actually weld these ones. These are someone else's, and I bought these as is, but I just never liked the way that looked with that weld bead around there. It wasn't smooth, and it didn't look OEM. So that's why I did what I did on these other ones, and I'm hoping that they come out a lot better. So I just got these valve covers back from the powder coater, and you can see there's some fingerprints on there, but they look really, really nice. And you can see how that area where I welded it and I smoothed it out, it almost looks, you know, as factory as you can get, I think. It doesn't have that big weld bead on there, so I kind of like the way that turned out. I think I'll do that on the future ones. Now, the one thing I know I could have done is I could have moved those to the back, but that would have required filling these holes, grinding it down, making it look smooth. And this works pretty well. I've done this on my ARC-7, and I think it looks fine too. The people that want super clean look would probably move the bungs back here to this side on the clear back, and then just run the lines around the back and out towards the catch can. But one thing you want to keep in mind is these were sandblasted, so when we look underneath these, you can see there's some residual sand left in these corners. Like right there, you can see a bunch of sand, and there's some sand. So you want to make sure when you get these back from being sandblasted, that you clean these out really good. I'm gonna use compressed air, and then I'm gonna use power washer as well, just to make sure I get everything out of there. And then we can go ahead and reinstall the baffles into these so that they're ready to be installed in the car. Because from the factory there is a little bit of silicone seal around there, and I went around with a razor blade and cleaned it all pretty much off of there, so we don't have any of that on there anymore. And I don't see the point to reseal these. I mean, it's open atmosphere in there anyway. There's no real need to have a complete sealed surface. And with these bolted down on there, they're going to be pretty sealed up anyway. So these are the M6 bolts I got up at the hardware store, and I am going to Loctite those because I don't want there to be any chance of those vibrating out and going down into the valve train. So I will Loctite all 10 of those bolts, but now I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and install these baffles. I'm going to go ahead and Loctite those bolts and get those installed, and these are going to go in the car. Oh, and I have to install the seal, of course. I got brand new seals from Toyota for the valve covers themselves. So I'll install those. They'll go in the car, and we should be ready to go. All right, so the baffles are in and the bolts are Loctited. I figured I'd show you these seals just so you can get the part numbers. So if you guys want to order new seals for your valve covers, there are the 2 part numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and reinstall these seals, and then these are going to go in the car. So this is the car that these valve covers are going on, and this is one of my customer builds that I'm doing. This is a 3.4 liter with a Precision 6780. So this is going to be a really responsive street car, and it's got a BPA twin scroll manifold with the billet collector down here, you can see. And I cleaned up the engine bay, removed the ABS. The engine bay was pretty messed. This was a factory non-turbo 5-speed car, so this is getting an entire driveline replacement, everything from the 3.4 built motor, then it's got a head games head with GSC SC S1 cams, and it's getting a V160 OS Geiken R3C clutch with my adjustable release bearing setup, and then it's going to get the 8.8 rear end as well. So it's going to be a pretty badass car when it's all done. But anyway, back to the valve covers. This is what I did the valve covers for this car here, and I had a set of stock ones laying up in my storage area, so they were a perfect fit for this car, and you can see how they turned out. I think they're pretty nice. So the next step then is for Alex Linder, the same guy that makes the manifold here, BPA or BP Autosports. He's going to make me a catch can for right here, and I'll run my lines out around to the valve covers. But I can't wait for this car to be done. There's just so many little things that I've done to make this car exactly kind of how I would build a street car. So I think it's going to be pretty sweet when it's all done. So the other thing is I may offer this as a service to do these valve covers. So if you want to send me a set of stock GTE valve covers, we can decide where you want to put the bungs at, and I can make up a set of lines and maybe even do a catch can as part of the package if you want to do that. And I'll do the baffle stuff too with the removable baffles. So if you want to check out my website, granisracing.com, and also if you like my videos, subscribe to my channel, and then also, if you like my videos, buy parts from me. I mean, I'm here to provide technical assistance to you guys, and I want to provide the best technical assistance I can, especially in driveline related stuff. That's what I specialize in, but also in little detail stuff like this as well for the 2J motors. So keep an eye out on my channel, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.